Most people imagine that a prestigious education is the only reliable path to security. But the reality of two fathers, one a PhD and the other an eighth-grade dropout, reveals a sharp divergence in where that education actually leads. The first father followed the traditional script. He completed 4 years of undergraduate work in 2, attended top-tier universities on full scholarships, and secured a prominent government position. Despite his impressive credentials and a significant income, he spent his life struggling to manage debt. The second father walked away from formal schooling at the age of 14. He had no degrees and no tenure, yet he was building a massive financial empire, eventually becoming one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. This gap exists because schools prioritize scholastic and professional skills, while ignoring the subject of money entirely. Most of us learn about finances from our parents, which means we often enter the workforce with a mindset focused solely on how to work for a paycheck. Building wealth isn't about the prestige of your degree, it's about the financial programming you choose to follow. And if you aren't taught any other way, you naturally adopt the mindset of those who struggle. In 1956, a 9-year-old boy realized he was living on the poor side of the tracks. He didn't want the life of financial struggle he saw at home, so he approached the wealthy dropout, his friend Mike's father, to learn how to make money. The man agreed to teach the boy, but with a strict condition. He wouldn't do it in a classroom. If the boy wanted to learn, he had to work. The man firmly believed that lectures alone are completely useless if you haven't truly felt the heavy pressure of real life. The deal was brutal. Every Saturday, for 3 hours, the boy dusted cans in a sweltering, unair-conditioned neighborhood grocery store. His pay for this mind-numbing labor was exactly 10 cents an hour. After 3 weeks of giving up his weekends for 30 cents a week, the boy's resentment boiled over. He was doing the work, but he didn't feel like he was learning anything except how to be a slave to the shelves. To anyone watching, it seemed like a truly cruel arrangement. Why would a self-made millionaire intentionally exploit a child who simply asked for a way out of poverty? The boy decided he'd had enough. He marched to the man's office, determined to either demand a raise or quit on the spot. He felt used, ignored, and ready to walk away. He confronted the boss, accusing him of being a greedy crook who breaks promises and exploits workers. He demanded the respect he thought he'd earned after 3 weeks of labor. The man didn't get angry. He laughed. He told the boy that his complaint was identical to the grievances he heard from almost every employee he'd ever hired. This job was a calculated simulation of adulthood, a way for the boy to feel the push of the world before the stakes became permanent. The man explained that life doesn't teach through talk. It teaches by pushing you until you decide to learn. The boy's frustration wasn't caused by a mean boss. He was experiencing the reality of the employee trap, trading his limited time for a wage that would never be enough to set him free. That trap is built on 2 psychological pillars. The first is fear. The terror of not being able to pay the bills or losing your home keeps most people locked into jobs they don't even like. The second is desire. When a paycheck finally arrives, people immediately think of the things it can buy. This creates a cycle where they work harder and harder to satisfy an addiction to things, only to find the feeling is temporary. This chart shows why a raise almost never solves financial problems. As the salary column rises, it is immediately swallowed by lifestyle inflation and taxes. The government takes its share first, and the individual spends the rest, keeping their net wealth exactly where it started. This is the fundamental divide. The poor and middle class spend their lives working for money, trapped by their own fear and greed. Unless you learn to recognize these emotional triggers, a higher income will just lead to higher debt. You'll remain a prisoner to your paycheck, no matter how many degrees you have on the wall. To prove the boy had finally heard the message, the wealthy man gave him one last test. He took away the 10 cents. He ordered the boy back to the store to dust those same cans, for absolutely free. By removing the distraction of a paycheck, the man forced the boy's brain to search for other ways to generate value. When you stop obsessing over a wage, you start seeing the hidden opportunities and assets that employees are trained to ignore. It starts with your internal dialogue. The phrase, "I can't afford it," is a form of mental laziness. It's a period at the end of a sentence that effectively puts your brain to sleep. Asking the question, "How can I afford it?" puts your brain into active problem-solving mode. It exercises the mind like a muscle, building the intelligence needed to see possibilities where others only see walls. Most people spend their lives waiting for life to stop pushing them, or hoping for a better boss or a government raise. But waiting for someone else to solve your money problems is a guaranteed path to mediocrity. You have a choice. You can let the fear of losing keep you in the safe lane, working for someone else's profit. Or you can choose to build your own financial intelligence and finally escape the rat race.